Hi everyone, it's Tendo here and welcome back to my channel. So guys, today I want us to understand our triggers, why we get triggered, and also how to work with our triggers. But first, what exactly is a trigger? A trigger is anything really, like a word, a tone of voice, a smell, a memory, or anything really that makes your body or your mind react negatively, or strongly, usually with emotions like fear, sadness, anger, anxiety, you name it, right? And in simplest term, a trigger, let me give you an example. Let's say someone has been abused, at a young age or at any age really, and they've been told like the word stupid once or multiple times in their lives. So every single time that person hears the word stupid in random situation or in random conversations, that word alone is going to trigger all those negative emotions. It's going to trigger things like shame, deep within them, or it's going to trigger anger, whether they are aware of it or not, but that's how a trigger works. Each and every one of us have triggers, like we've all been hurt or traumatized at least once in our lives, whether it was intentional or unintentional. Unfortunately, it is part of being a human, and this actually reminds me of something that I've heard in one of the podcasts, The Conversation Capital. And I cannot actually remember the episode, but this guy mentioned something that I thought it was pretty cool. And he said something like, not even a single person in this lifetime is entitled to a life without trauma. Like, not even a single person. Not even a single person is entitled to a life without trauma, But unfortunately, it is our responsibility, to heal and rise above those traumas, So now, why do we get triggered, right? Most of the time, and I'm saying most of the time because this is not the only reason why we get triggered, but this is just what we are talking about today. And I'm probably going to shoot another video about the other reasons, why we actually get triggered, But what we're talking about today is the fact that we get triggered most of the time because whatever that's happening in the present moment, or whatever that's being, whatever that's happening in the present moment, or whatever that's been said in the present moment that's causing all those negative emotions deep within yourself, it's connected or it's linked to an old wound or an old pain that you haven't healed yet, that you haven't dealt with, So basically, your triggers, as painful as they can be in the present moment, they're actually just pointing you towards what you still need to heal, And let me tell you a story. So this one time, I once got robbed by about 4 or 5 guys, that were riding bicycles, So after the incident, every single time I see like people driving bicycles, coming towards me, I would feel all those negative emotions, every single time. Like I would feel like I was about to get robbed once again, And this happened for quite some time, until I actually realized that I have a problem, that I needed to fix deep within myself, And I decided to get very, very intentional about healing that specific wound, And how I did it is that I started journaling. Anybody who actually knows me knows that journaling is my bestie, I started writing every single thing down that has happened that day, how I felt and all that, And just for context, this is not something that I've done once and voila, everything was fine. Like the following day, life was good. Like I've forgotten everything. It took me a while to actually like heal that specific wound. Every single time I remember, I write every single thing down. And I did that. Up until one day, I came across someone who was riding a bicycle, and all of a sudden I couldn't feel all those negative emotions that I used to feel. And that's when I knew that I have healed that specific wound, And here's the thing, right? When I saw that bicycle, I did remember the incident, you know, because obviously the incident is already programmed in my mind. But for me to know that I've deeply healed that specific wound is because I didn't feel all those negative emotions that I used to feel every single time I see someone riding a bicycle coming towards me, you know. And here are 3 things that I use, you know, and that you can also use to work with your triggers, you know. The very first one is that you're gonna have to be very curious about your triggers, you know. Like, don't try to judge your triggers. Like, when they come, you're like, oh my God, this thing again. Don't judge your triggers. Instead, get curious, you know. Ask yourself questions like, what is it about the thing that that person said that hurt me so much? Like, someone said something in a random conversation, why does it bother me this much? You know, ask yourself these kind of questions, you know. And the second thing is that track your triggers, you know. Track your triggers to see the pattern, you know. And I recently lost a brother about a year ago, a year and few months now. And I've realized that few months after his passing, I used to get very triggered about people mentioning their brothers in random conversation. Like, it used to you know what I'm saying? So it happened for quite some time, you know, until I actually catch myself, you know, because I was like, okay, this is not okay, you know. It's not okay, you know. I needed to work on myself because that was a me problem. And here's the thing, right? People around us are not supposed to walk on eggshells, you know, because we have some traumas that we haven't healed that might actually trigger us or something like that. People are allowed to be themselves. People are allowed to say whatever they want to say. And if you get triggered, like I did, you know that those triggers are literally just pointing you towards what you still need to heal. So you just need to do the work within yourself, you know. And the third one is that after tracking your triggers, after seeing the pattern in your triggers, get very intentional about healing that specific wound, you know, and obviously using any healing toolbox of your choice. I use journaling, you know. I love journaling. And the second one that I use is movement, you know. One thing about exercising or just really taking a walk really helps to release all those negative or trapped emotions in your body, you know. And if you happen to choose journaling, you know, as one of your healing toolbox, I totally recommend that you do that as long as you can, you know, as long as the pain disappears, you know, because one thing you should know about journaling is that it's not a once-off process, you know. And also your healing time frame, it's obviously going to depend on how deep the root of that wound is, you know. The deeper the wound, you know, the longer it's actually going to take to heal, you know. So give yourself a lot of grace, you know, when you are in your healing journey, you know. And that's it for today, guys. Let me know anything at all that has popped in your mind while you were watching this video. Don't be stingy. And if you have nothing to say at all, you can always drop me like a yellow heart in the comment section down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, and you can also share this video with anybody, you know, that you think can actually benefit from what we were just talking about today. And I will see you guys in my next video.